Hello, my loves. Today we're going to talk about why it's so incredibly important that divine sacred feminine and divine sacred masculine actually work to unravel and dissolve the energies of the projections and judgments. Because at the core of it, when we come down to it, the counterparts, twin flames, however you identify, if you've been initiated into the energies of sacred union or into the initiations of unconditional love and unity consciousness on this planet, a big part of your purpose, as you have been guided, of course, beyond what I would say, you'll know this within your heart if it aligns. The whole purpose is to anchor in unity, consciousness, and unconditional love. And so a big part of that is to not align with or participate in the things that we want to judge or that hurt us or that feel toxic or codependent or X, Y, and Z. The purpose is to transmute and transform those in our system and come to a place of neutrality and not projecting on to others and understanding that this is just a big part of the energies that are on our planet that we chose to come here to help to transmute, or we're called to come here to transmute. And those of you initiated within a counterpart connection, when you are projecting onto your counterpart, you're essentially projecting onto yourself. When you're judging your counterpart, you're judging yourself. And so when you can drop into showing up for yourself, caring for yourself and choosing what to participate in holding your standards around the unity consciousness and what you want to experience, you're actually holding that space for your counterpart as well. Okay. And so I want to share some visualizations that have been coming through for me to share with you. And this can go for our overall larger planetary collective that we're here supporting in this ascension process, or of course for your connection or for your own internal energies, my loves. So just roll with me and take these. I'm going to speak about divine feminine and divine masculine. Please apply them in whatever circumstances you're in. It does not matter how you identify. These are simply messages that are coming through via these collectives and these energies because they come from different perspectives. But ultimately, those differences, when they come from a completely opposing view, it's not about dissolving or getting rid of the other completely. It's about finding the gift within each and what happens when those integrate and frequalize, like we talked about last week, together. Okay. So there was this vision shown to me that the masculines, I remember Connor talked about it in our conversation a few weeks ago. And it hit with me because I remember seeing many visions of the masculine sort of buried in cement. He talked about the masculine being under a rock. And I've seen the masculine energies on our planet sort of mired down in cement. Okay. And these energies of feeling bound, imprisoned, entangled, sort of in like shackles or chains, X, Y, and Z. And the feminines are sort of like this energy that's almost like an angelic or a fairy energy, very much like let me go fly away, right? And those higher essences. Now, mind you, we all hold these energies within us. So very much can be within you. And most likely, regardless of how you identify, you will identify with some portion of both of these visions. Okay. Both of these sides. So the feminine comes in wanting to connect with the masculine. He's sort of entrenched and entangled in a whole bunch of stuff. She flies away, sort of that running energy. Or at first, she's trying to help break through the cement. And it feels like the masculine is just stuck, right? Or too slow or can't figure it out. These types of things that the feminine collective sometimes projects onto the masculine collective. And the masculine looks at the feminine collective like, oh, they just take off. They have it easy. They have it light. They have it airy. They can just fly away and do whatever they want. Also, another projection. Just roll with me for the story's sake, okay? And what is happening at the deeper levels is meant to be where the two come together and integrate instead of running, judging, projecting, right? And actually getting neutral around the energies and seeing where can we dance and work together so that the things can harmonize out. And I saw this vision of the feminine finally accepting the masculine's protection, say in his like Hulk energy, right? Some of the things that maybe the feminines have been frustrated around the masculines being like this more protector energy, but it seems like they're judging it in a way that they're not understanding. But then the feminine finally is like, okay, I see you for your gifts. I honor who you are and I accept it at the purity at the soul level. And so I honor those protector sort of Hulk energies within you and understand we can balance and harmonize those together. And as the feminine, say, accepts the masculine then can see how the feminine can offer her side of protection from the higher spiritual realms. And she sort of comes in and lands with the essence of love and presence and just allowing the love to stream in and allowing the Hulk to hold his strength. Okay. Of course, we're talking about archetypal energies, but just roll with me. Okay. In these energies, as they can accept one another, right? Sort of like the Hulkster or the Hulk energy, and then the like fairy angelic sort of energy, this magical energy, like the hard and the soft coming together and looking at both sides of the strength of those extremes. And through it, as the feminine essence stops trying to break through the cement, which only always continues to grow back or reform. And the masculine is releasing some of the hard edge around not allowing the soft feminine love to come in is they can just come in together and allow the energies to integrate. Sort of what I saw in this vision was this energy of the cement dissolving, right? But not to disappear. As the love and the cement came together, it sort of created this new crystalline liquid light, this crystalline essence and energy, which held a structural form of creation with the building energy of the cement essence and the flowing spiritual essence of the love. The two together formed the structure for the new earth and above constructs, the new ways of being. And so we need that physical form of the masculine, those structures, those stability, the provider and the protector, but also the masculine is in need of the loving, intuitive, flowing support of the feminine essence to build these new energetic structures. It's this bigger energy and essence of what frees us from the old constructs, from the old matrix, and from that looping type of energy or the feedback loop that some of us experience when you're ready to level up out, when you've sort of done everything you can within a certain bandwidth, and now you have to level up into your new perspectives. Okay. This is actually happening on a lot of levels because what I've been seeing is there's also a lot of people who've sort of been working within the bandwidth of, let's give another example of leveling up their health, okay? And they're following all of those logical structures. They're even going above and beyond into like the homeopathic, very natural, deep types of ways of healing. And many are still hitting roadblocks. We're looking at the emotions, we're looking at the spirit, we're looking at the soul. We're sort of addressing it from all of these levels. And like we've talked about here on the channel, many are still sort of receiving these issues with digesting. Okay, we'll use that one as an example because I know many of you have expressed that you are experiencing digestible issues. And we've talked about how it can be related to having like a backup of energetic information. And so we're not able to digest new. And this is a piece of it. But I'm also seeing and feeling and sensing that many of us are actually ready to level up out of that whole way of being. And it's not to say that there's nothing of value within it. But there's sort of like this opportunity for a reset of all of the old ways of thinking and all of the beliefs, even the ones that were seen as higher ways of believing. I'm not telling you to throw away what's working. I'm simply saying if you're feeling stuck, it may be because we are ready to build and create something new. We are evolving out of the old structures. And the more and more we're unraveling out of the projections, and the more that we're embodying into our standards, what's happening is more and more unconditional love for the self is creating more and more unconditional love and unity consciousness with others. And even if this is not fully embodying into your physical world just yet, the more you are practicing it for yourself, the more you're embodying it in the energetics, the more you're writing about it and drawing your blueprints or painting your blueprints or envisioning the blueprints of what you want, the stronger and stronger these energies are becoming. Okay, my loves. And so, as we're creating it for ourselves, as we're loving ourselves, and trusting that there are genuine solutions, even if we cannot see them at this moment, and you allow yourself to drop into deeper states of self-trust and trust for your connection and trust for your higher power and trust for your planet, and you continue to allow yourself to dissolve and unravel out of those blocked ways of being, right? And again, neutralizing your emotion, letting go of running from the fears, because this is part of some of that feedback loop, is that we're ready to move out of survival into thriving and from thriving into flourishing. And if any of you are kind of finding that no matter how hard you try, you're not able to quite flourish in the way that you want, or you are in some areas but not others, it may be because your higher self is calling you into completely new solutions that have not been born on this planet yet. You may be the one that is being called to bring in these new solutions. And part of how you do that is by allowing yourself the space and the grace to open up to new ways of doing things, new ways of seeing things. And the more you show up for yourself, the more that you care for yourself, the more that you honor yourself, the more you choose what to participate in or not, and allowing others their process without judgment, holding compassion for their experience. But again, you get to choose what you participate in, loves, regardless of who it is. You are a sovereign being. Yes, you are connected to others. You're connected in the oneness. You have a counterpart. And at the higher levels, we are all already connected in unity consciousness. So this is about allowing it to trickle down into you for you first. Gain your strength for you, and then decide how you want to interact with that in the physical world. I feel guided to talk to you about a triangle that a few years ago I was guided to by my higher self. So one of the things that helped me when I knew that I wanted to be in personal responsibility, self-love, and healthy boundaries for myself, right? This was sort of like the energies I knew that I wanted to embody into deeper. I was shown some of these circumstances, no matter how hard I tried, it kind of felt like I was still getting sucked into some of the codependent energies. And they showed me that triangle that probably many of you have seen, that victim, perpetrator, savior triangle. You may even feel it within your own system. So you have a victim, somebody who experienced something at the hands of someone else, the perpetrator. And then you have the savior that comes in to defend the victim and go against the perpetrator. And it sort of creates this whole triangle of projection. Okay. Obviously, in certain circumstances, we have to handle business and say protect children or whatever. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about these bigger energies when we're talking about personal responsibility. Now, let's say you have played all of those roles at some form or another, or you get put into one of those situations in some form or another. Okay. And we're going to roll with, say, you got put in the savior position. You have someone at work who felt like a victim, and you have someone who was seen as the perpetrator, and they come to you in their own way as the savior. And the more you sit with this triangle, what you're beginning to see is that the victim oftentimes was also part of the perpetration. And the perpetrator was also feeling victimized. Again, not in every circumstance. I want you to break this down and look at the circumstances. But in most normal day to day circumstances with friends or family, you may notice these energies of projection. So you can move into, instead of going into the savior role, you can encourage them to go back to taking self responsibility for their participation in the dynamic. And you can get into your own triangle of self love, healthy boundaries, and personal responsibility. And those can replace the victim, savior, perpetrator mode. Okay. And you can apply this in whatever way you feel guided. And what happens is you're still present, you're still loving the people who are coming to you. Let's say it's family, right? And you're then, though, putting them back to taking self responsibility. You're guiding them back to learning how to love themselves and learning how to set healthy boundaries by actually enacting those for yourselves. And what happens is your new triangle of self love, healthy boundaries, and um, personal responsibility sort of starts to create an essence of that energy back to others. And so it gets you out of that loop, gets you into your personal responsibility and healthy boundaries, helps you to stay focused on your own self love, but you're still able to do it without judging others. You're just simply redirecting them back to taking personal responsibility instead of shouldering the responsibility for them. And you can release your judgments around it or your expectations of how they handle it because you're not taking a responsibility on that is not yours. Okay. I'm not fully sure why they had me dive into this, but I suspect that some of you may be needing to hear this around something that you're going through. And I'm going to reiterate, we're not talking about someone being in danger. We're not talking about massive abuse. We're talking about these day-to-day circumstances of redirecting it back. You know, if someone's in dire circumstances and needs your support and you feel guided, by all means, you help them and support them. Okay. You're going to know the difference. We're talking about those looping kind of scenarios that you're exhausted from participating in because you know they don't feel in alignment and you're ready to step away from that dynamic. But you're also aware that you don't want to judge others. And so you sort of go through this dance of, again, choosing what to participate in or not, as you neutralize your judgment, as you neutralize your expectation, as you neutralize what you think it should be, your projections, and you just align with and ask for your highest good and just hold the space for others to experience their highest good. It actually allows you to be present in an energy of neutral love without being drained, without projecting, without getting involved in something that's actually probably not your business anyway. And it's helping you strengthen into building that muscle of unity, consciousness, and true, actual unconditional love. Because unconditional love does not mean that you self sacrifice to love that person. Unconditional love means that you unconditionally love yourself, choosing what you will participate in or not, and then unconditionally love others by allowing them to experience what they need to without judging or without needing to participate in it if it is not aligned with you. Because, see, unconditional love actually has to include you, my doves. Okay. And I know that many of you know these concepts that I'm talking about. You feel them, you're working on them, you're practicing on them. And I also want to say that they are very much a dance of what we are learning to embody. Because unfortunately, it is a majority of what we have not seen on our planet. A lot of what we grew up in was conditional love, transactional love, codependent energies. And I'm not even going to sit here and say that that's bad. Like it was what it was, and it is what it is. And it was how we survived. It was what was available, and it was what we needed to experience so that we would understand what to unravel out of. And so, if you can understand that this is not just about us or our counterpart, but this is what was happening and what all of humanity was experiencing, it becomes easier to drop in the compassion because then you're also like, whoa, okay, you really can't know what you don't know till you know it. And even if at a soul level, we knew this information when we got here, when we were born, we were programmed and conditioned into a society that was functioning in dysfunction, in in codependent energy, in moving away from our own power and doing what we were told. We were not taught how to empower ourselves in many cases. I know some of you were, but many of us weren't. Okay, loves? And so we're unraveling the abuse of humanity. Okay. And when you think of it in terms of that, part of the biggest way that you can help support unraveling out of that abuse is by unraveling yourself out of it. Okay. And remembering that those who are mirroring any form of discomfort or abuse to you are there at the higher levels to support you in the sense of knowing where to set your boundaries, where to care for yourself and no longer participate, where to focus your energy into what you actually want to build more of. Okay, loves? And so as we are coming out of yesterday's fall equinox and we're moving into today's Libra season. Maybe that's why they had me come on here and talking about this because your girl's a Libra and just really focusing on where can we harmonize these energies? Where can we release the judgment, right? And move into the energies of harmony and balance, okay? And to me, balance and why I speak, even as a Libra, right, who wants those scales to be balanced, I use the word harmony, harmonious hearts, because it's not always we can reach equilibrium, that frequalizing, right? And we can reach balance, but we are always growing. And it's important for us to allow the energies to grow and shift and change and to reach new levels of harmonization. Okay. It's not about everything always being in a very perfect balance every single second, but it is about aiming for that energy of neutrality, okay? Using the emotions, using the passion to help you understand and where to guide you on your path to finding solutions, my loves, okay? And becoming neutral and holding a loving energy, even amongst things that you're uncomfortable in, or even things that may have felt fearful, is actually, my loves, what supports those in neutralization. And this brings me to one final story that I want to share with you. And it is Dear Medicine, Dear Animal Totem. Deer is representative of love. And there's this story that the deer was going to Great Spirit to speak to Great Spirit, to Source, to connect with Creator. And as the deer was approaching the gates of Creator, there was a three-headed demon there, giant, angry, and blocking the way to Source, blocking the way to Creator. And the deer, you would think this little deer would shrink and run away in the face of the giant demon. But instead, the deer sat with the demon, looked at the demon, did not budge, did not move, did not run, also did not fight, did not scorn, and did not fight the demon. The deer sat in presence with the demon and just sat in neutrality and in love. No fear, no running, no chasing, no fighting. Just sat in presence. And in the presence of that genuine love, demon shrunk and shriveled away. And the deer had direct connection to Source and was able to go directly to Great Spirit. Okay, my loves, this is what we are being called to do, to become love in the face of fear, not to cower to the fear, not to back down and not to fight it, not to resist it, but to simply understand that love and neutrality is way, way, way more powerful. Okay. And if you are not in those states of neutrality and love in that moment, that is okay. But as you can train your system, as you can retrain your nervous system to face these energies and to neutralize the fears and to neutralize the judgments and to neutralize the projections, you will continue to embody more and more of the truth of who you are at a soul level. And even letting go of the judgments of the moments where you're in judgment. It's all okay. This is what we're learning. When it happens, realize it. Say, okay, now I know where I can strengthen myself. Now I know where I can bring in compassion for myself and others. All right, my loves, I love you. I appreciate your presence here. This wasn't quite what I thought was going to come through today, but I'm so grateful and happy that it did. And I hope that you found it supportive. And I hope that there was something of value that you found within these messages. And I hope you have a very, very beautiful day. And I'll see you soon. Much love.